the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves. There are a lot of lies that we tell ourselves throughout our life, but I believe one of the most dangerous lies, especially in the first responder world, is the two simple words, I'm fine. How many times have you said that? A coworker asked, how you doing? I'm fine. Your spouse noticed something's bothering you. Nah, I'm fine. A friend sees that you're stressed, overwhelmed, or acting differently. I'm fine. The truth is, many of us aren't fine. We're carrying stress, we're carrying trauma, we're carrying memories from calls that still replay in our minds years later. We're carrying worries about our families, our finances, our careers, and our futures. Yet, we continue to convince ourselves that if we just keep pushing forward, everything will magically get better. God, wouldn't that be nice? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes the weight gets heavier. Sometimes the stress grows. Sometimes the things we've buried deep inside begin to affect our relationships, our health, and our happiness. It happens to a lot of us. The strongest people I know aren't the ones who pretend everything is okay. The strongest people I know are the ones who are honest enough to admit when they're struggling. They're the ones who pick up the phone. They talk to a trusted friend. They lean on their support system. They ask for help when they need it. Because we all know by now, asking for help isn't weakness. Self-awareness, it's courage, confidence, alpha, and it's taking responsibility for your own well-being. So today, if someone asks how you're doing, don't automatically say I'm fine if you're not. Be honest. Reach out. Start the conversation. You don't have to go on this big rant, but maybe kickstart something. Maybe it'll lead to something else. You don't have to carry the weight alone. Remember, there are people standing by who genuinely want to help. And with that help, it just comes one day at a time.
What civilians don't understand is this job will break your relationship. I mean, meet a first responder that has, not gone through a severe relationship struggle. So they don't understand that. And then they don't understand like you said, like, well, what's the worst call you've been on? I always tell them, I'm like, let me tell you about the coolest call.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like you said, they couldn't handle, and I'm not talking bad about anybody, but they couldn't handle what we see. They think it's in the, TV shows, they say, for us, they get in a shooting and then they're going to work the next call. That's not how it works for us. Hollywood has just kind of made things crazy, but I'll use Chicago PD. Hank Voight goes and does all this crazy
fire
stuff.
that as well.
Yeah.
And,
Man, that's like my favorite show.
No,
Don't ruin it for me. But they go get in these wild, crazy, shootings, or The Rookie, like all this crazy stuff, and then it's just the next day they're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like they've done better with going to show that at night it's stressful on them, but it doesn't show the next day. So these civilians think that we're just like Superman, and it's like, oh, we did that, let's go on to this, and it's not that way. We were actually, my fiance and I were having the conversation just yesterday in the car driving home about civilians asking that question. Hey, tell me this, tell me that, and I think she said it best. She said, it's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's that I finally have gotten past it. And the second you ask me that question, that exact image from 25 years ago will pop up in my head. And then I have to relive it. I have to rethink it.
To infinity and beyond.
I think you told me that the average person sees how many life-threatening sorts of events in their life?
The average citizen experiences about 3 traumatic, they see a bad car wreck or something, about 3 of those. And a first responder sees, almost
the fact that the burnout rates are so high, I mean, it all makes sense.
Yeah, the lack of sleep, which we've talked about that on our podcast, that is
Huge.
to your health is huge.
Yeah.
Because you're working these crazy shifts, your diet suffers. Right, all these things suffer. Your health suffers. You get addicted to tobacco, nicotine, alcohol. Unfortunately, that happens a lot as a coping mechanism, and all those things work against mental health and all those things that we've talked about in the past. That all leads to burnout.
One of the most common thought traps I see with first responders is catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is when your brain automatically jumps to the worst case scenario. Your nervous system is constantly asking, what's the threat? What could go wrong? What am I missing? And then planning for how you'll handle that worst case scenario. And honestly, it makes sense because in first responder work, this is adaptive. Your job literally trains you to anticipate danger before it happens. You're rewarded for thinking ahead. You're rewarded for noticing risk. You're rewarded for preparing for worst case scenarios. Worst case scenarios is what you do. The problem is figuring out how to turn it off when you're not on shift. Because catastrophizing will tell you that a delayed text means your spouse was in a car accident, that your kid coughing at night means they have cancer, and that one mistake at work means that you're going to lose everything. One of the first steps in challenging catastrophizing is being aware, because you can't change a thought pattern that you're not aware of. So start noticing how quickly your brain escalates the possible situation, noticing when you're assuming the worst, and noticing how your body reacts before you have evidence or information. Your brain learned this pattern for a reason, and we can appreciate that. But survival mode doesn't always know when you're off shift.
Here recently, this specific incident made national news, and it was about a former late NASCAR driver. Him and his family were in a plane crash at Statesville Regional Airport. Needless to say, there was some rough things that a lot of us saw that day. Not even just that, but leading up to it. I'm talking about from the day you start your career all the way up until that point. You always think, oh boy, that was the worst one I'll probably ever see. Specifically had one of my students that was in my BFT class. She was hired with my department, and she was on the scene with us as well. And from as soon as I stepped off the truck, I looked over, and when you see a still person on a fire scene, wreck scene, or something, you immediately kind of want to go, throw them an elbow real quick and say, hey, let's get to work. Don't look at it. Right. Do you need anything? Are you okay? We're always looking out for each other. Always trying to make sure that everybody's head's in the game. Everybody's head is right. And I really, after that incident, I really have to commend my department for doing a critical debrief. And they shut down every single truck in the city after that incident and pulled us all into one room and wanted us to talk and just get everything out there. And they offered therapy sessions. They offered their time.
There's this one thing about those people that serve other people that a lot of people kind of don't understand sometimes. And that's about how easy it is to look fine on the outside, but be completely off on the inside. Happy good early morning to you. My name's Ken, and I've spent years in law enforcement, and now I help guys, especially first responders, rebuild their health, relationships, and direction when things start slipping. So you can show up to work, handle calls, do your job well, and still feel a little bit off. Because this job teaches you how to handle pressure, but it doesn't teach you how to process it sometimes. So you carry it. You do that shift after shift, call after call. And over time, it shows up somewhere else. You'll have shorter patience at home or lower energy. You'll have a loss of motivation to take care of yourself. And that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been carrying weight without a system to unload it. So if you're in this line of work, you're a first responder, firefighter, police officer, correctional officer, anything like that, then this is for you. Where do you feel that showing up the most right now? That part where you're getting things taken care of, but you seem to be all over the place. And if you want to get clearer on where things might be slipping before they get worse, the readiness quiz in my bio is a solid place to start. So until next time, have a great day and happy good early morning to you.
I think if you ask most first responders, they would feel the same way I do about this. There's something that this job takes from us that I don't think we talk about. When you've seen the kinds of things that we've seen, and you've dealt with the kind of situations that we've dealt with, I don't know that it would be possible for anybody to not feel the same way that we do. This job makes us really good at compartmentalizing our emotions. We can pronounce somebody dead, tell the family that we're so sorry for their loss, and then go eat lunch like nothing ever happened. It's why we're able to do this job and still function in society at large. But it takes away from us something that I've not really thought about or talked about until recently. I think if you ask most first responders, they would say that they wish they could feel normal sometimes. There are days that sad things happen and I wish I could cry, but I don't. I can't, and sometimes I miss that.
One fact that I find very interesting is that first responders are actually more likely to die by suicide than to die in the line of duty. So you have to think of it like this. These warriors spend their entire careers running calls and seeing things that scar them for life. And 80% of them are apprehensive about seeking help because they don't want to have to deal with the stigma that involves going and seeing mental health professionals. They feel that they're going to be alienated. They're going to lose the respect of their partners, their brothers and sisters, and things of that nature. So the uniform comes off, but the weight stays on, and that's the time that we need to talk about.
If you're a first responder and you're out on comp or you have an injury and you're not working right now, the struggle is real. You don't have the routine anymore. You feel like you don't have purpose in life, and you're not alone. It's not made up in your head. You're not weak. Reach out, shoot me a DM. Maybe there's something that I can help you with, or I've gone through it, and it's just something to be aware of. Everyone's going through it. And if you're watching this and you have a buddy that's out on comp, make sure you're checking on them and look for red flags, things that concern you, and go out of your way. Don't just check on them and be like, okay, well, good luck. Go out of your way. Go meet up with them. Go for a hike. Go for a walk. Go just spend some time with them. It's a struggle. We need community. We need routines, and we need to be looking out for each other. So,
has anyone asked where's the moniker for first responder suicide? There's not one. It doesn't exist. Firefighters carry 72% greater risk for suicide than the general public. They carry the highest suicidality rate of any population. Police officers, who talks about we lose a law enforcement officer every 17 hours? When's the last time you heard that?
I'd never.
No one talks about that. Every 17 hours.
Just by nature of you being a police officer or first responder, you're 54% more likely to take your own life. If you don't understand that and understand that there is work that you're going to have to put in to overcome that statistic, and you're constantly overcompensating, it's like, I'll just work more. You are setting yourself up for catastrophic failure one way or another, whether that's with your family, whether that's with your finances, whether that's with your life or whatever else.
So this comment here is one that I wanted to address because it's so often talked about in the first responder community whenever I have like clients or friends, acquaintances, I'm at trainings, whatever, where there's people who have been active duty military and have had deployments but are also first responders back at home, police, fire, EMS, dispatch, corrections, whatever. So many of them have said that their trauma whenever they have been deployed is unique, as in they are somewhere that, you know, is not familiar to them. It's not where they live. It's somewhere that a lot of them will never be again. So they do have those memories. They do have those triggers, things like that. But whenever we are first responders, especially for first responders where we grew up, I've never worked as a paramedic in the county that I grew up in, that I lived in, but I did work in neighboring counties. I have responded to family members. I actually transported my mom before she passed away of cancer in 2008. I was the paramedic in charge of her care in the back of the ambulance. That was definitely a unique experience. I've responded to other family members, extended family members, cousins, uncles, things like that, because they were in the neighboring county where I grew up. So whenever you do things like that, or it's where you live and it's places you drive past every day, it's people that you may see at the store, Walmart, it's friends, family members, whatever, it just hits different. Like, that's really, like, whenever people say it hits home, that's really what they mean. And it really can be a constant reminder. So that's another reason why first responders, it's so important for us to seek mental health treatment. And as always, anybody who may be looking for somewhere to go, I'm in Kentucky. I've had a few people ask me, I'm in Kentucky. I know a lot of the resources in Kentucky and some of the surrounding states, but if you're in a state, I don't care if you're in Oregon, California, somewhere far away from me, if you don't know where to go to reach out for help, just send me a message. Tell me what state you're in, what you're looking for. And I have a lot of networks. I can try to track down some resources for you. I do not mind to do that because I know where to look. I know who to ask, things like that. So please reach out for help.
Most first responders, what we're seeing, it's not one event. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And it's the personal life intermingled with it. It's you sign up for this job, all of a sudden you're in the trauma factory and it's trauma, trauma, trauma. You get married, trauma, trauma, trauma. All of a sudden you're starting to change who you are. She doesn't notice who you are. Trauma, trauma, trauma. Now you're having kids. Now you don't even want to be around your own children because of what's happening to you. Trauma, trauma, trauma. Oh, he's an asshole father or asshole mother. He doesn't want to be around anybody. Then you start moving away from friends. You got no friends. This job is the only fucking friend you end up having. And then you're doing it every day. Trauma, trauma, trauma. Now you're getting divorced. Trauma, trauma, trauma. She's taking the kids. Trauma, trauma, trauma. You just lost your house. And boom! That's how it happens to us. And you know the most pathetic part of it all? You're watching it come. You're watching it happen. You're seeing it come. And we're not doing anything about it. Because you know what? I can handle it. I can handle it. Statistics show we can't.
We visited the firehouse last night and had dinner because my husband has been working a lot there. For whatever reason, they have a ton of captains out. Yeah. So my husband has been having to pull extra shifts and cover. Everybody's been pulling extra shifts. And I asked a question around the dinner table last night to the guys just to kind of strike up conversation. And I was trying to be like kind of, you know, thoughtful and considerate and not ask a question that would bring up a bad topic or anything. So my question was, I just said, like, what's the hardest thing about being in the fire service? And I was thinking that they would be like, oh, it's the nasty calls, or oh, it's getting woken up, 10 times in the middle of the night and not sleeping. Or, it's the hours, 48 hours on and, 4 days off. Like, that's where I was thinking, like, just kind of by default. Immediately, when I asked the question, you want to know what everybody around the tables, every single person, there was like 5 guys. It was being away from family. Every single guy, immediately, being away from my family. And I'm going to be honest, like, I don't always love that my husband's a firefighter. Sometimes I really struggle with him being away for so long. But I don't often think about how hard it is on him being gone from his family because he loves his job. And he'll totally sign up for extra days and like volunteer to do stuff. But he, just like every other guy around that table, immediately said it's being away from family.
Let's talk about something a lot of first responders and healthcare workers quietly struggle with: feeling emotionally numb. And before anyone let comments say, you chose the job, yeah, they did. But the human brain still has limits. So here's the psychology of it. If you're a police officer, firefighter, paramedic, ER nurse, trauma doc, you know the roll call. You're constantly exposed to intense human suffering: car accidents, overdoses, violence, loss. And if your brain fully absorbed every emotional detail of every single call, you wouldn't survive the job. So the brain does something incredibly intelligent. It creates emotional distance. Us shrinkologists call this protective detachment. It's the brain's way of saying if we feel everything, we won't function. So instead, the brain turns the emotional volume down, which helps you do the job. You could stay calm during chaos. You can make decisions during tragedy. But here's the catch. The brain doesn't have a switch that says turn emotions off at work and back on at home. So sometimes that emotional numbness follows people home. And suddenly their thinking's like, why don't I feel excited about things anymore? Why am I not reacting the way I used to? Why do I feel disconnected? That doesn't mean someone is broken. It means their brain has been working overtime trying to protect them. The solution isn't pretending it doesn't exist. The solution is processing the experience instead of burying them. Because when first responders actually learn how to talk about what they've seen, feel what they've suppressed, and reconnect with the people they care about, something incredible happens. The emotions don't disappear, they come back. But this time, in a way that doesn't overwhelm them.
People trying to wish and pray that I'ma fall about it, all about it till we spoke in person. Don't wanna talk about it now, huh? Oh, you sound tough, toying with them, don't get wound up. How you wound up? Another number in the round up. Put the town up, I built this thing up from the ground up. And if I bounce up, I get my crown stuck. Green light go, got the east side flow. I'm a giant in the space like Fee-Fi-Fo. All the kids sing along like E-I-O. Every time when they see my show, thinking that it happened overnight. Yeah, did it. In it for the long haul flight, committed.